Hello everyone. In this lecture we are going to learn about the human anatomy part 2nd, on which we are going to discuss respiratory system part 2nd, presented by Salman Charu. My name is Salman Charu. I am in the final year of my graduation in the School of Civil Engineering from Lovely Professional University, and this is the link on which you can follow me in order to keep yourselves updated regarding the subject. And if you like my videos, please do share them. Now we are going to discuss the physiology in the respiratory system. First one is pulmonary ventilation. In this lecture it is concerned with the theoretical part only rather than the practical one. So here you will get lots of stuff regarding the same. Pulmonary ventilation is a process of moving air into and out of the lungs to facilitate gas exchange, that is for the purpose of inhalation and exhalation, inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide. Respiratory system uses both a negative pressure system and the contraction of muscles to achieve pulmonary ventilation. The negative pressure system of the respiratory system involves the establishment of a negative pressure gradient between the alveoli and the external atmosphere. The pleural membrane seals the lungs and maintains the lungs at a pressure slightly below that of the atmosphere when the lungs are at the rest, that is not in a position of exercise. This results in air flowing the pressure gradient and passively filling the lungs at rest. As the lungs fill with air, the pressure within the lungs rises until it matches the atmospheric pressure. At this point, more air can be inhaled by the contraction of diaphragm and the external intercostal muscles, increasing the volume of throat and reducing pressure of lungs below that of an atmosphere again. This is the process of pulmonary ventilation. Moving further, to exhale air, the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscles relax while the internal intercostal muscles contract to reduce it. That is simply opposite of the process of inhalation. The thorax and increase the pressure within the thoracic cavity. The pressure gradient is now reversed, as I mentioned just now, resulting in the exhalation of air until the pressure inside the lungs and the outside the body are equal. At this point, the elastic nature of the lungs causes them to recoil back to their resting volume, restoring the negative pressure gradient present during the inhalation. Pulmonary ventilation. This is they have explained in a nutshell about the pulmonary ventilation, and these are the diagrams related with the same. Now, external respiration is the exchange of gases between the air filling the alveoli and the blood in the capillaries surrounding the walls of the alveoli. Air entering the lungs from the atmosphere has a higher partial pressure of oxygen and a lower partial pressure of CO2 than does the blood in the capillaries. The difference in partial pressure causes the gases to diffuse passively along the pressure gradients from high to low pressure through the simple squamous epithelium lining of the alveoli. The net result of external respiration is the movement of oxygen from the air into the blood and the movement of CO2 from the blood into the air. That is the reverse of it, vice versa process. The oxygen can then be transported to the body's tissue, while CO2 is released into the atmosphere during exhalation, that is the removal of the waste products from the body. And this is the external respiration explained in a pictorial way. Now, internal respiration is an exchange of gases between the blood in capillary and the tissues of the body. Capillary blood has a higher partial pressure of O2 and a lower partial pressure of CO2 than the tissues through which it passes. The difference in partial pressure leads to the diffusion of gases along their pressure gradients from high to low pressure through the endothelium lining of capillaries. The net result of internal respiration is the diffusion of oxygen into tissue and the diffusion of CO2 into the blood. And this is the pictorial view of internal respiration. Now, transportation of gases. Major two transport, that is O2 and CO2, oxygen and carbon dioxide, are transported through the body in the blood. Blood plasma has the ability to transport some dissolved oxygen and CO2, but most of the gases transported in the blood are bounded to transport molecules. Hemoglobin is an important transport molecule found in the RBCs, that is red blood cells, but that carry almost 99% of oxygen in the blood. Hemoglobin can also carry a small amount of CO2 from the tissues back to lungs. However, the vast majority of a CO2 is carried in the plasma as bicarbonate ion. When the partial pressure of CO2 is high in the tissue, the enzyme carbonic anhydrates catalyze as a reaction between CO2 and water from carbonic acid. Carbonic acid that then dissociates into hydrogen ion and bicarbonate ion. When the partial pressure of CO2 is low in lungs, the reaction reverses and the CO2 is liberated into the lungs to be exhaled. Now, homeostatic control and respiration. Under normal resting conditions, the body maintains a quiet breathing rate and depth called eupnea. Eupnea is maintained until the body's demand for O2 and production of CO2 rises due to greater exertion, that is during the process of exercises. Automatic chemoreceptors in the body monitor the partial pressure of oxygen and CO2 in the blood and send signals to the respiratory center of the brain system. The respiratory center then adjusts the rate and the depth of the breathing to return the blood to the normal level of gas partial pressures. And this is the respiration in human beings. In nutshell, we can say that when you breathe in via mouth, this is nasal cavity, this is a trachea, these are bronchi, and these are the lungs, combination of lungs. Air then moves into the windpipe. The windpipe has a tiny hair that traps dust particles found in the air. This is a nutshell of a respiration in a human body. You can explain it in nutshell via this diagram. And with this, our course has been completed regarding the respiration and digestion. Now one more lesson is pending. I suggest you to please watch it, as it is regarding with the process of circulation in a body. Hopefully the video will help you. Thank you.